Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome, all my little honey devils there. In today's times, quite differently from years ago, with dating and what you're supposed to do and don't do before marriage, if it gets to that point, the courtship and all of that. We all have, some traditions are still held true to the day. Others, not so much. But we try our best, I am assured, to find that perfect partner, bothly, physically, and sexually. Which brings me to today's topic of a courtship and sex and dating, that good stuff. In today's modern world, for the most part. Now, you know that courtship is the traditional dating period before engagement and marriage. Or nowadays they have promise rings and all that good stuff. Pre-engagement, all that long-term commitment. If in some odd way that marriage is not allowed, there are, different things out there. It is an alternative to arranged marriages, and it's in which the couple or group doesn't meet before the wedding. But then how are you going to have a courtship? This is where you get to know each other. Years ago, this was a big thing. Like I said, there are still some traditions held where this is still going. But in today's dating game and courtship game, it's through virtual dating, chatting online, sending text message, conversing over the telephone, using instant messaging. Some people still write letters, believe it or not, and sending gifts. And these are all modern forms of a courtship. And it does vary in time. And we all have our own views on when sex is supposed to come into the picture. Remember that as well. Some people still hold true to the no sex before marriage. And there are those who, today, a lot of people are getting into the sex before even, going into that long-term dating, because they want to get that out of the way and find out if they're actually going to like that in their newly picked partner. And this is where this comes in. Nowadays it's more as, why is the courtship better than dating? and how to get yourself and let yourself be wooed. Very difficult now because of how dating has changed so much. It's become a little bit more complicated, whereas, there's that old-fashioned courtship in which you go in and you're finding that long-term partner. Today, it's physical intimacy, which is the sexual act that happens before that commitment, because like I said, you're trying to get that out of the way, see if you're actually going to like it with this person. But then that's really, it's like becomes a wham bam thank you ma'am. And you're becoming that heartbreaker per se. And the intentions are quite different in the long run. Really, when the sex does happen before commitment, there's like one person in that situation generally tends to read more into that relationship than what is really happening. Granted, a lot of people today kind of sort of want that friends with benefits, and it isn't so much that courtship. You like the sex, but you don't like them. That connection really isn't there, or at least the connection that one person wants, and the other person just wanted to go to bed with you. You become disappointed, sad, angry, and this is one person who's probably going to feel this way, and the other one's going to be happy because that's really all they wanted. And not expressing that is not a very good thing to do, because you're hurting that person. You're not going to get that I love you out of this person or anything like that. So, hey, that you really need to know what you're going to go into if you want more. How's that one sound? Having that voice. There are so many people out there who have made their own rules for the modern daters, and there's a good amount of them out there, and we're going to go through some of those today. Nowadays, that meaning of courtship has been really difficult to define, and there is no clear line that's going to give you that either. So, I think there's a few of us or a few people out there, or a group, or whoever, that's trying to sway that pendulum back to the old-fashioned ways. But I think with the way that sex is like growing, and it's so easy to do that before courting, before marriage, all that stuff, it's becoming difficult to find someone who you're gonna, granted, want to be for a while and work up that relationship and have that good sexual relationship in the bed and out of the bed. So, one rule you might want to think of if you're going to go into this is only court one person at a time. Come on. Pretty darn simple. Stop shopping around. If you come up and you say, I'm really looking for someone in my life now and all that stuff like that, but all you're doing is going out and, that was just your line to get someone in so you can go to bed with them and have sex. I think it's a lot better if you just say, I only really want to have sex. I think they'd respect you a little bit more, and then they can make a decision on whether they want to go to bed with you. So, when it comes to that courtship and that commitment, it's meant to, there's a freedom in it. And it's just between you two, and not being afraid, and knowing that new partner is not going to stray, or the partner that you've been with for a while has not going to stray. And how to apply this. Be honest and direct. What did I say about your intentions when you start to date someone? If you're looking for a rebound, like I said, say so. Want a long-term relationship? Make it clear. And that is also for yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you want that settle down after a while, make sure that you are not kidding yourself. You got to make sure that this is what you want. Going back to old times, men should pursue women, not the woman pursue the man. In a way, it's kind of sort of giving us our own voice, but come on, guys, or partners, prospective partners, shall I say. We kind of sort of want you to do that little old-fashioned thing, holding the door and all that good stuff, too. This wooing varies from person to person, but really, if you're honest with yourself and with that person, then you shouldn't have an issue with it. Now, apply this rule. Obviously, if you're a woman, eager to let the man take the lead, by all means, let him. For those who prefer an equal opportunity approach to dating, which is a lot that is going on now, try letting him pay now and then. And then, you can pay as well, or at least hold the door for you. That old chivalry is there, with about being deeply offended. Nowadays, ladies, I know we have our voice, and we are very open in our feelings and how we are expressing them sexually and verbally. But if you are looking for somebody who's long-term, and this is what you're going after, you're going to have to, it's not belittling you. It's not taking away your voice. Let him be a man, be a man. They like to feel like they're, in charge. Let them do it. Remember, it's us who's in charge. We just let them think that. I know you guys were waiting for me to say that. Another rule is feeling and community are central. Obviously, we do everything openly in front of families, friends, community, out in public, social events and everything like that. And back in the day, the man would ask the woman's father for their approval in order to date their daughter. Doesn't happen that much anymore. But obviously the goal here is to include the family, the community, all that all around you that encompasses you. When applying this rule, sometimes your mother does actually know what's good for you, believe it or not. Don't dismiss advice from your elders. And granted, if you really look deep down, relationships really haven't changed that much in the past or to the future. We all kind of sort of want that bit of stability in a relationship. I don't care how much it's just sex. Sex still a way of becoming closer and intimate. I mean, if you get your feelings hurt and this is what you want, go for it. Remember, go into it with nothing in your mind, because this is the way that you'll get hurt if that's not what you're going in for. Next rule, or another rule shall I say, group activities are encouraged, people. Granted, there are a lot of one-on-one dates. Do keep those. But bring them in at a friendship level before becoming romantic. This is the whole idea. No one gets hurt for the most part. Hey, we're going to apply this rule, aren't we? Starting a relationship with someone doesn't have to mean you automatically spend long hours gazing at and whispering sweet nothings to each other, obviously. You got to be a little bit more relaxed in those early phases of dating. Get to know each other on a deeper level. Friends are always easiest to do that with. And on that note, I'm going to go to my first break in the show. So get that drink, get that snack, come back, get relaxed, and I will meet you back here for more sex talk with Andra. And some more courtship dating in the modern time. Linens & Hutch, a family-owned company who specialize in soft and cozy, high-quality, on-trend colors and patterns that never go out of style. Everything for your bed products at the best possible price. Linens & Hutch is able to do this by designing and working directly with expert manufacturers to cut out the middleman and pass the savings on to their customers, providing affordable luxury. I must say, my down alternative comforter from Linens & Hutch, along with my bed sheet sets, matches up to actual sheets and down comforters at the higher prices. 90 GSM microfiber, hypoallergenic, which is great for those with sensitive skin, obviously. Snuggling up in a toasty, soft bed is what I like and look forward to after a long day. Linens & Hutch provide fast and free shipping. They are so confident that you will love their bedding products that they offer a 100-day trial period. Yes, a 100-day trial period with money back guarantee. They know that you will be so satisfied that they are offering listeners 70% off in addition to the free shipping site-wide by just going to their website at linensandhutch.com/sex and using the code GSMC6 and remember, it's for the softest sheets ever.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back. I hope you are relaxed and have your favorite drink and snack right by you as we continue on with courtship versus dating, where does sex fall in, and all that lovely hoopla. Now, our next rule that's up on the table is commitment precedes intimacy. Nowadays, that has had its fine line really tuned, and I'm assured you all know that most couples cannot wait. Like I said, today's society is a little different, and the dating game is much different. You have it where when you're courtshiping, you wait till the wedding night, or you wait till you're further along in that relationship where you believe, you're learning where true commitment comes in. Nowadays, it doesn't matter about waiting until the wedding night. So, you're going to have to do a lot of masturbating in the bathroom by yourself, or a lot of steamy foreplay in the backseat of the car, or on those little cold nights without going further. This is where you want to go. As applying this rule, and, this is so that you don't go too far to starve yourself, or stave yourself, as they call it, of sex until that time is right. It's always been said that the more that you wait, that first time is going to be amazing, or it's going to be so intimate, and it would get bonding and the like. If you're going to go and decide to go courtship upon dating, well, this is really one of the important things. Many new relationships really nowadays could really stand to prolong that first roll in the hay. This way, you can really figure out what the heck you really want. Is this the relationship you want? Is this the partner you want? It is one of those things. If you have sex first, it gets a little confusing in the long run. I mean, we are very more open now, and if you don't have children, this is a way to talk about children. You'll see where each other is with it. If you indeed want kids, nowadays, everybody already has kids. So they've been down that road of that long-term relationship, or even been married already. You can still do, that dating / courtship, or courtship, which is a little bit more intense, and do the things sexually that you feel that you didn't have. So you're going to do this in your new relationship, but try and make it where the sexual distraction is kind of sort of taken out of that equation. I mean, a lot of men think with their third eye down there, and he makes a lot of bad decisions. But like I said, it's kind of difficult nowadays. Obviously, if you do feel that you want to go back to the practice of courtship, find a way to, prolong that sex and take it right out of the equation. See if you can have an actual conversation with this prospective partner of yours. And it's not just all about what you see and what your pants feel. There are a lot of things out there. Courtship sometimes really falls under where religion comes in. But nowadays, you can take it and do this whichever way you want, as long as it fits what you want long term, sexually, physically, emotionally, and all that good stuff. Because there are some old school reasons why men should start courting women again. And we're still going to go into some more rules out there. That fine line between courtship, what people think is courtship now, and they equate sex into that, is kind of sort of that definition of what it is no longer looked at it that way. And there are, kind of some definitions per se to what courtship actually is. And this is to know, especially now, to put us back into the thought of good, healthy relationships. Obviously, the wooing of one person by another. You're trying, it's just like a ritual. If you flop around like a damn chicken, and that's your ritual to woo the girl, or woo a partner, a suitable partner, well, then that's your definition. That's what you're going to do. Another one is the period during which such wooing takes place. How long do you think that you should wait before, going to that next level? Because sex, like I said, will come in and change that whole feeling. Now you're becoming intimate. That you let them see with your pants down. Either you turned on those lights or you didn't. But don't talk that penis up too wide, too wise or too high. Same thing with you girls. Or that female, where you're telling them you can do all this stuff in the bed, and you get in there and you sit, you lay there like a dead fish. Think about that. Another probable definition out there would be giving of favors, applause, etc. Do praise. Ethology, which is the behavior in animals, often including elaborate displays. Did I not just say, if you flop around like a chicken, if that's the way you're going to get, put that elaborate display on, well, do it. Another one would be obsolete, which is courtly behavior, courtesy, gallantry. Well, and this is what it is. And this is like in addition to giving favors and things like that. Remember, this courtship is not, dating is not dating nowadays has been, made synonymous with courtship. Where, I have no idea. But hey, what do I say to that? It is the times. It might not be for everyone, because there was one time I read, which was hysterical and basically hit things right on the nose. Someone defined when a man says, or a person says, that they're dating really means that it's a one-night stand, or they just want to get laid. Because if you want to have a relationship, means that you really want to date and have dating other people involved in there as well, mainly sex. And then marriage means a long-term relationship. And it's really, never going to go that far or anything. And I really thought that in today's society, it hit it right on the nose, with sex being so prevalent and masturbation being so high now and such a more accepted thing out there that the lines are getting blurred. And it is really now where you decide what it is and how it works for you is what you define courtship as. So it's really interesting. But there are like some ways to define where that is different from a dating. So it's really courtship versus dating. And in courtship, which is not in dating, you have to get permission. And this is through, obviously, parental permission. Then marital intent, which is whereas the both of you are like just really entering into this mature relationship, both sexually, physically, intellectually. If you want to start with intellectually, physical, sexually, how you list those might just define what you're going in for. If you want to take on that responsibility. Now, this is where the religious part comes to it. I really think it's between the two people who are entering into this. A lot of people who are religious, what does your God say? Is this what you want? And they look at it as a threesome with God. So that's where that comes in. I have to admit, I believe there is one out, there's something higher than all of us as to whether that is one God or not. That is for you to decide and what works with you. You got to work on that family compatibility. Do they like each other? Because nowadays, the family don't like your date or don't like who you're picking. Ooh, they're going to let you know. All these shows on TV nowadays, they just put air in their dirty laundry. Sexually, family, everything. And they are quite, boisterous. Now, who's to say that there isn't a little bit of scripting in that to make the show keep in the viewers? And I do believe that. But you gotta kind of gauge the family too. And if the two families are gonna get along, obviously, again, emphasize on being in groups and not alone. But you gotta have your alone time. Because this is how you really get to know each other. But, do know where you could say, oh, geez, let's go and meet up with Jack and Jill and do this. You know what I mean? Friends, no benefits. Not friends with benefits, but friends, no benefits. And that little no benefits is going to be hard for a lot of people nowadays. And under that, comes that exercising of physical restraint. I mean, some people can go without kissing, or not holding hands, or some physical touch. I believe that there should be. And, wait, have a little bit there because you still need to know, because you're going to have that thought in your head. Then when, what's it going to be like? What's it going to be like? You can't wait comes the wedding night and oh my God, you don't like, either one of you don't like each other in the bed. You're not satisfying each other sexually. Now you have a decision to make. One, do you stick with this person, the both of you, and teach each other or work on it? Or do you get up and you say, oh God, no, what have I done? Now, obviously, if you're going to go with the first choice, it's going to take a couple of tries in the bed to see what the heck you're doing, because you're probably fumbling the first night because you've been so restrained to not having it or not touching or doing anything. So remember that. And on that note, we're going to take a break, and we will come back to this courtship and the difference between dating. So we're going to take a break here. Go and replenish that drink and replenish that snack. Come back in, relaxed in that comfy chair all over again. And I will meet you back here for more Sex Talk with Andra, where the topic is courtship versus dating in the sexual game in times.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, hello again. I am still here. This, where we are talking about the courtship versus dating, how you want, how times have changed when it comes to sex in that. And are you really serious? Is this what you want to do? Do you want to do that dating? Do you want to do that courtship? There are some rules in there, and there's some things that are different. It is a wicked hard. And nowadays, with these dating sites, virtual dating, the sexting, masturbating becoming so much more accepted, and that alternative sex life as well. I know we are still working on things. For all of you who are thinking of that, we are, but we have come a long way. Sex is usually, let's have sex first to figure out, you kind of choose and pick your partners based on your sexual experience with them. So we try and get that out of the way. Well, you can't do that in courtship, or you shouldn't do that in courtship. Dating, well, there you go. That's what it's all about. Now we're going to continue on our ways to figure out how courtship is, better than dating, or it's different from dating. And picking up where we left off, Another way is doesn't last for years and years. Okay, if that courtship, like courtship, how you want to word it, will last for years and years and years. Well, that might just be a way in which you want to make it sound like your tensions are there, but you really want to date. So, and it generally, a courtship will last about a year, or it shouldn't last no longer than a year. Like I said, if it goes beyond that, then I really think that you're really using that as an excuse just to date and get, work in that sex before that alleged marriage. Another way, a healthy attachment, trying to get that relationship between the two of you and building it, like that foundation of friendship, and where it's not overpowered by that romantic behavior, that sexual lust, and all that good stuff. And it's usually, that romance before that is, that usually sends some crazy damn signals out there. So, another way is open to counsel and wisdom of others. Obviously, if you are really looking for it, you will listen to the advice of others. If you're not listening to them, don't ask for it because your intentions aren't there. Just go out and have sex, because that's exactly what it is. One of the last things that is stated, which goes back to some religious ties, and I am very impartial. I respect all choices, and it just, whoever is your spiritual leader, advisor in your heart and mind, really has the final say. If it is not a, God as you want it, and it's something else. If that outpowers everything else that would put it in the way of dating, well, then you need to make a decision. Again, if this is all you want, then you need to go out there and find that person, that partner, who is, just wants to do that with you, and it's straight sex. I mean, it's really funny because, this actually, looking for some things, which is really good to talk about this and how people are viewing it. There's a website, and the first word in it, or the name of it is mental help, which actually talks about 4 stages of dating relationships. And it's really, really funny because it is on here, and it's probably looking at it more as where is your mind, as opposed to it actually being an issue with the mental health. So just finding it like this is a little weird, but they do talk about some 4 predictable stages that couples experience in a dating relationship. They also, at each stage, there's always a decision that needs to be made, whether you go forward, you step away, you go to the side, you take a break, whatever. But they do talk about it. And their initial stage that they come up with is initial meeting, and that overall attraction. Now, as I explain it, it's dating relationships have to start somewhere. Absolutely. Most start with sex. Hey, if you're in the heat of the moment and you still don't mind, who gives a crap? Do it. The initial meeting may take place over the internet, which is one of the biggest places to meet someone, especially in this, very charged time of COVID. Finding through friends, your social group, your spiritual group. You can go to a party, and once in a while, there is someone you can meet at the bar. It's that diamond in the rough, but it is there, and there are so many different places to meet people. Like I said, it's a little hard right now with what's going on. And I love the way they wrote this. Different arenas for meeting allow for different opportunities to get to know each other and see if there is enough curiosity or interest to take it to the next level, which would involve arranging a second and a third meeting. Generally, that means sex. Plain and simple, just write it in there. Their stage 2 is curiosity, interest, and infatuation. This is where that attraction and infatuation is really at the forefront. Obviously, when you first meet somebody, or you see somebody, you're actually physically attracted to the attributes that they have on them or are part of them. Obviously, everybody has an outward appearance and their body type or personality type or interest that what you're attracted to. Some guys are attracted to boobs, breasts, whatever you want to call them. They're attracted to a woman with a big backside or a nice jiggly one or a little small one they can just hold in their hands. I mean, what's the old saying when it comes to the size of a woman's breast? If it's too much for your hand, then it's too much for you, or something like that. I forget how it goes. If it fills up your hands just enough. I forget how the saying goes. But it's generally this stage, it's that attraction, it's that initial attraction. It doesn't have to go really deeper than that. Just the fact that you are literally attracted to this individual. It could have been eyes, hair. Doesn't matter. You are, you have that initial attraction where you want to find out where that second attraction is going to come in. So you can actually just, there's no dialogue which is going to be conflicting or anything. You're getting to know each other. You're not really knowing what it is about that person. You're actually finding out why you're really attracted to them, not by the fact that you're actually attracted to one of the body parts that they have. Or their pants are too damn tight and, come on. Generally here, there is not enough, which is what they say. It quotes, is this the right person for me, unquote, but rather more, what can I do to make this person like me? And that's what you're doing. This particular stage, you're really getting to figure out why you were attracted to them in the first place, as you're looking at their attributes as it comes strolling down the street. And it generally, lasts for about 3 or 4 months before you're going to make that next decision that comes in. Remember that. And this is generally involved in that maturity, experience, and that self-understanding of yourself and what you want. And by probably the end of this stage, you're making that next decision to whether you want more or you want to, is it moving too fast or is it moving too slow? Like I said, adding sex in there, you can take it two ways. If you're up front with each other right off the bat, you shouldn't have any problem sliding in. However, if you are not and the sex comes in, it does make things kind of confusing because it's an intimacy, it's a bonding, and you have now seen each other naked. Remember that. So, obviously we made that decision to go forward at stage 2. So we are at that stage 3, which is enlightenment and becoming a couple. Obviously, during this stage of a relationship, hormones are calming down and reality sets in. This is where you get a little deeper in that relationship. Your trust is growing. It's building. You get a little bit comfortable with telling that individual your likes and dislikes. May it be in the bed. May it just be something that's a personal thing to you. And it's just learning some weaknesses, some flaws of each other, and some strengths and beauties of each other. There are cute habits, and with cute habits, you could really figure out what you want to do. Say they moan something during sex that you don't like, but the sex is good. You got to decide on either tell this individual that annoys the hell out of you and you can't concentrate, or put up with it because you really want to be with this person. It's one or the other. But the longer you do sit with that, the longer it's going to be wicked problematic, because this is where at that stage, this is stage 3, and things become irritating at this stage. And there becomes like the perpetual issues or differences. Depending on what it is, it could be how they chew. Who knows? It's really what is up to you. And it's the things that you like and don't like. I mean, at this stage of the relationship, you're taking note of your differences, and you'll complain. Oh, you'll say something. You like it, you don't like it, and then you try and solve the issue. So this is actually a really good stage to see if staying longer is really what you want to do as well. So these are really good ways to figure that out. And this is a very crucial stage, because if you do get past this, you make that decision and you like the way it's going, you like the way it's moving, sex is good, and you love being around this person, even if they have a couple of little things that irritate the mess out of you, but you still want to be with them. And that's where it is. Now, stage 4 is going to wait until we come back. This is the last break in my show. So, totally up to you. If you want to get a new snack or a new drink or whatever, you can stay right where you're at and continue on with what you're doing. Heaven only knows what that is. Your choice. So, after the break, I will meet you back here to finish out the show on a lovely topic. So, see you back here for more sex talk with Andra.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back to the final segment in the show. Hope you got up and took care of your potty, calls and all of that good stuff, because we're going to finish out with our stages of courtship. And if it's really for you, remember, dating nowadays is so totally different, with sex becoming so focused nowadays and us being so more verbal about it. We were on the last stage, and that is stage 4. After 3, where you decide, can you put up with the inconsistencies of that new partner? Or is it, I can't be bothered. I don't like you in bed. Or I just don't like this little thing that you do. Who's to say? Obviously, if you decide, because at each stage you have to make a decision if you want to move forward. After that time period, if you want, go to stage 4, where it is obviously commitment and engagement. This is the relationship stage. At this point in the time, you've learned a lot from your partner, especially their values, their lifestyles, and their goals for the future, as they have learned about you. So, this is where all that, you've brought that person home to see mom and to meet the parents overall. They're coming now to holiday dinners and everything else. Seeing if that family, the two of you, actually work out. Spending a lot of time with them. Generally, in the beginning, it's the man who comes over to the woman's house a lot. Not so much the woman over to the man. I really can't get that, because the men always take the longest to take the woman home to meet mom and dad, especially mom. So, hey. Also, at this point, you are having open and honest conversations. And you're talking about things on what you're going to do later, or down the line, shall I say. Always the question about children, finances, careers, future goals, and a lifestyle is going to be discussed. This is a real important stage for that new couple's relationship, as you are still you're using your evaluation skills. Basically, you're going to evaluate that relationship and your ability, for both of you, to be part of an emotional, intelligent relationship. Obviously, these things can be broken easier than if you, all of a sudden, you're leading this person down this road and it was all about the sex. And it's easier than to make this decision than it is to making that decision about getting married or divorced, or getting married and then finding out that isn't what you wanted. It's kind of hard to break away from that. So you need to remember that. Very, very important, especially into today's sex times. There are so many things out there, but we do need, we went into some rules and things not to do and all that good stuff. I was going to go on with some more courtship versus the dating thing, but I actually want to switch it up a bit and talk about some the wildest online dating sites, or sex and dating advice, date ideas, tips, things like that. So let's get into that. I'm going to start with the sex and dating, obviously. And when talking about this, how men can last longer in the bed, we did discuss this. But it is, very, very important to work on and do a few things that'll help them last longer in the bed. Obviously, there is all these lovely sex toys out there that you can use. Please do. Now, there's everything that there are cock rings, actually, things that they put to sustain that erection. Same thing on the opposite end with the lovely woman. And it's funny because there are like six. This is really interesting, and I'm going to do this because with sex and dating, one of the things that comes up, there are 6 penis problems nobody wants to talk about. Let's just find out what those are. Okay, this is a brief list of what can go wrong with your schlong. And if I mess this up in any way of trying to say words, I will let you know. Starting off our lovely list with penis problems is the balanitis, or balanitis, shall I say. With this, it's funny, you're going to be so grossed out by this, guys, but I'm going to give it to you. And this is, you can look this up, manofmany.com, believe it or not, printed this. There are naturally occurring and mostly harmless microorganisms living directly on your private parts and under the foreskin in particular. So, this means that all bacterial or fungal outbreak can occasionally occur. Inflammation of the head, of the penis, leading to pain, swelling, rash, and the discharge of fluid. So don't think it's only women that get an infection of their genitals. So don't think you're out of the loop. It is known as balanitis. Balanitis. If anybody can pronounce that, go for it. And it's often the result of poor hygiene, allergies, unregulated diabetes, or paralysis. And it's also a symptom of STDs, such as gonorrhea and syphilis. Ooh, please do get checked out. Next one on the penis problem list is premature ejaculation. And this occurs when men ejaculate either just before or shortly after the earliest moments of sex. We all know what it is. Just giving you a little bit of death. It comes in varying forms and degrees of severity and is a very frustrating problem for the 1 in 3 men who live with it. However, there are treatments for it, so please see your general practitioner. We all know the next one, erectile dysfunction. This is really more common, and that's the first thing that us women will do. Go out. If you are not staying up, we're just going to tell you it went pew, bloop. So we are not afraid to say something to you. It actually reportedly affects nearly 2 in 3. They picked Australia. So they're saying 2 in 3 Australian men at some point. I think this goes for around the world. So remember that. I don't think we can just pick out one set of men with this issue. In a nutshell, as they say, the condition occurs when you can't achieve or maintain an erection during sex. It is common, so very uncomfortable for the man, not feeling quite manly in the bed, especially since whoever you're going to bed with depends on how they take it and what happens after. So, to look it up, Peyronie's disease. It occurs when scar tissue forms inside the penis, believe it or not, and it causes it to bend at a 30-degree angle. So your penis is a little crooked. Your penis is a little crooked. Or it could be even more than that at times. It also disrupts the blood flow. So we actually, guys, you need the blood flow down there. That actually disrupts it. You may not be able to form erections. It's really painful, and curved erections will often precede the condition. So you'll get the curved penis first, or the curved erection. I think when you're not erect, it's not as noticeable because you're not putting strain on the skin, muscle, or any of that tissue. So that's why it is much more noticeable when you get erect. Some of the causes could actually be from infection to physical trauma, to genetics, to the side effect of blood pressure medication, believe it or not. With blood pressure being quite a big thing now, get it checked. Here's one that I'm probably going to screw up the name, but let's go. Phimosis, or paraphimosis. Now, this is when the foreskin is too tight to pull back from the head of the penis. It's like a really tight turtleneck. I like that, analogy there. Generally in babies and toddlers, the condition usually resolves itself over time. However, you little adult men there, you're not as lucky. You kind of sort of need help by the doctor to get this fixed. This is actually caused commonly as a result of injury or inflammation, believe it or not. Phimosis can lead to urinary tract infections or numbing pain during sex. We want you to feel it. So, need to work on that. And those are just a few of the symptoms, actually. Obviously, on the opposite end, the paraphimosis occurs when an injury prevents the foreskin from returning to its original position. It's almost like, and they give an analogy, a bit like a rubber band around the shaft. Ooh. Although some guys might like that. Who's to say? You know, if you got your penis pierced, you're making room for when it heals with scar tissue. So remember that. But if you can get it done and it's comfortable for you, go for it. They do have penis cages for the head of your penis. You might want to go with that in the beginning. And now, as a result, your one-eyed trouser snake, your penis, might experience increased sensitivity, pain, swelling, and reduced blood flow, which eventually leads to gangrene. Ooh, we all know what gangrene is. We don't want it down there. Not good. Remember, we want good blood flow, and we want everything else to work properly. And last on the penis problem list is Periapism or Priapism. And really, it's actually, if you live with erectile dysfunction, anyone who has suffered a permanent erection will tell you that it's far from that. Though it's rare, or very rare, this particular condition, what it is where blood gets trapped inside erectile tissue, causing an unwavering boner. And this isn't caused by Viagra, people. It can be painful. I believe it. If left untreated, dangerous to you. And, the treatment even sounds painful for you guys. It usually involves surgeon draining your penis with a syringe of that blood. If you ever watched emergency room, those true life stories, there's been a couple of those particular cases on there. It is actually, obviously, just the sound of the syringe in your penis and draining it is actually a lot better than going under the knife. So remember that. All in your choice on how you want that. I don't know how you feel that you are going to get that to work out for you. But do seek medical attention. And with that, I'm actually going to leave some of the wildest online dating sites for the next time in the next show. Because this is the end of my show. As always, it has been fun. And as always, please practice safe sex at any stage in the game. And by this, if not for your partner, for yourself, and vice versa, remember to always educate, communicate, and consent anything new or anything that you are going through that you feel is going to be not what your partner, is going to go for or whatever. remember to do those 3 things. And I want to thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Also, I want to ask that you do subscribe to the show and leave a review, a good review. It helps me, but not only me, it also helps the GSMC Podcast Network. Also, please do seek us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because we are on there. And do hit that like button and leave a comment. Write what you would like to hear addressed on the show or talked about on the show. Who's to say? Come up with some topics. Really, really cool. Always would like to hear. And with that, I would like to say thanks again and have an awesome night.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.